Dear boomers, what are the top 10 fears that boomers and the elderly and the silent generation have? I have outlined 10, and actually, the 11th is my favorite because we can get into it. The biggest fear of all is number 11. But the first one is worrying about outliving our savings. Now, I don't really think that that's on everybody's mind. Those so called wealthy boomers probably do not worry about outliving their savings or having, um, the kinds of things that they need for the generations to come in their families, etc., because they are wealthy. But the majority of boomers do worry about outliving their pensions, their savings, Social Security, all this and that. So that's um, that is a problem. And then retirement planning, concerns about whether they can retire comfortably. I just decided to retire. I was 73, and as a matter of fact, you can't get too much more mileage out of that. 40 years as a nurse, and I retired at age 73. We worry about how to maintain our standards of living and the impact of inflation on retirement savings. We worry about our longevity, fears of living too long, longer than expected, and the associated costs of long term care or needing assistance as we age, especially if we live alone. Who's going to pick us up if we fall down, literally? We worry about anxiety about the future stability of Medicare and Social Security and the increasing costs of Medicare and health care coverage. There's a problem with housing and living arrangements, deciding whether to downsize or move to a retirement community, or if we decide to age in place. And that is a personal decision. In fact, I was asked that question yesterday. I finally got to the funeral that I thought was the day before. Is that a senior moment or what? And I was sitting with these delightful women who were neighbors of the deceased. And they were asking me if I just wanted to live in a retirement community or whether I wished to age in place. Well, I had already figured out that I wanted to age in place, and this is where I live. It's a simple place. It's a rancher. It's a 1,000 foot. It's 1,000 feet stepwise to the park, where we can walk with happiness and great abandon. But I can see how living in a retirement community could be a wonderful place for community, which is what people, especially at our age, need. We need each other, and we need to bolster each other's mindsets up. The mindset of, I'm too old, I can't start a new thing, I might die before it's finished. Well, my aunt started painting at age 97, and there's all kinds of different examples of older people embarking on new adventures, new arenas of creativity. So we actually had a conversation about that, and I believe that is very important. Community, what we were talking about in terms of Ethan's death, which we saw yesterday. We discussed that yesterday in yesterday's video. The idea of creating community as you die, or maybe you have the community already set up before you die, can really help the death process move along with more joy, more ecstatic understanding that life goes on in some way that we don't know, because it is the great mystery. So a lot of people are also caring for older parents, maybe if they are in different cultures especially, but we often we take care of our parents and our spouses also. And that can be quite a strain. That can be a concern, because if our spouse, as in my case, dies suddenly, or if a spouse has dementia or a more serious illness. My husband did die of COVID, but he had some serious heart issues, which COVID likes to symbiotically pull from. Um, those caring for parents and spouses are very, very stressful. And I have a friend in my affiliate marketing group who has an aging parent who keeps going to the hospital and coming home, and he has another job in another country, and he comes home periodically, and he's taking care of his father and relieving other house members who decide to go on vacation, because they're kind of burnt out. It's hard to it's hard to be a caretaker, a caregiver, and that is something that we can go into more detail about at some other time. And we worry about staying mentally and socially active, and we worry about avoiding isolation, and we worry about finding purpose in retirement years. Purpose by whatever you feel is purposeful is very important to outline what that might be. Technology adaptation is another fear and worry of older folks, keeping up with advancing technology and how it impacts our daily lives, and from staying connected with family to managing finances. One way to stay in touch with family is through the power of messaging and social media. Estate planning and legacy is also a very important thing to seniors. We worry, we want to make sure we have wills, that we have trusts and other legal arrangements in place to have a financial legacy, and maximize and minimize family disputes. Oh yes, minimize family disputes after they pass. That is something. So that would require sitting everybody down and discussing, to try to prevent these family disputes, which seems to be a thing. It's definitely a thing. These concerns reflect a desire for stability, independence, and a sense of purpose as boomers transition into their later years. And then my 11th tip is to realize that the falling and breaking a hip, or not even breaking a hip, just falling in general, can cause a great deal of stress and strain on the body. And years ago it was seen as the great killer, and I think it still is considered that. The gentleman whose funeral I attended yesterday had a series of falls. He had a chronic illness that didn't make it any easier to be balanced and to find balance. So I began to think about, from this wonderful experience with my wonderful new friends, that walking, the woman next to me said, well, I know that falling will probably be the way I die. And I thought, oh my, I think that we need programs where we teach the art of walking and walking well. I'm reading this book, and I'm going to do an Amazon review very soon. Walking well. And we need to realize that walking enhances a flow through the body. So it's through the breathing through the body, and it's also learning to love your body, which we live in a society that is anti-loving of the body, really. We don't trust our bodies, and that non-trust of our bodies begins at a very young age by the people who surrounded us as we were growing old. So one of the things that makes walking more successful in our old age is to Adapt a creative mindset. Believe that you are creative. Yesterday, everybody there were artists, and they were famous in my hometown for being artists. So they said, "Are you an artist?" And I told them I really believe that we are all very creative. And I believe that my creativity doesn't necessarily have to do with painting on a blank um, canvas. When you think about it, we awake every day with a blank canvas of how we're going to live that day. But my creativity is geared in other directions. So we have to adapt a creative mindset and realize that we are all creative, and that there are creative solutions to all of these problems that I just mentioned. And there are 100 billion neurons in our brains, and over millions of years of evolution helped us to learn, adapt, and create. They also recommend get a notebook out in the legacy of Leonardo da Vinci. One of the authors of this book, by the way, Michael Gelb, has written a book called, Be Like Leonardo da Vinci or something. I have the book. I always loved that book, and it took me a while to realize that he is part of the author here. 100 questions. Write down in pure flow 100 questions that you may have for your higher self, for God, for your higher power. Write down 100 questions, close the notebook, and take a walk. And allow those questions to percolate, and allow your inner self to answer those questions. I just think that's fascinating. Those questions that might be apropos would be: 1, how could I make my life more beautiful for myself and for others? 2, what people and places and activities are most conducive to my being my full authentic self? 3, what is the one thing I could stop or start doing or do differently starting today that would most improve the quality of my life? What are the blessings of my life? And that would be a gratitude exercise. Who are my most inspiring role models? And what specific qualities do I want to cultivate in myself that reflect my role models? And what is my life purpose? How can I get paid for doing what I love? So we can pick one of these questions and write out 100 answers or 100 questions surrounding the one question, and take a walk and let it percolate. This helps the creative mind, create solutions to our inquiries. It will help supercharge our curiosity, and it is the key to unlocking your birthright of genius. The number 2, take yourself lightly, and that would include the steps that you take as you walk. Take these steps forward. Take yourself lightly, and take your walks in a playful attitude. Now I have taken to walking my dog Maso, who is a very playful little creature. He loves to play with every dog that walks by. So I can feel about as playful as if I can become as playful as he is, I know I have lived a good life. And humor. It's very important to realize that making strides in your creative well stream is to laugh more. It's very important to laugh. I often will watch Friends, and it doesn't take long before I'm really laughing. I've seen it many, many times, and I still laugh as much as I always did. But he, talks about Jerry Seinfeld, Eddie Murphy, Jim Gaffigan, Kathleen Madigan, etc., Tina Fey. But all these people do not make me laugh like Friends does. So Friends is my go-to laughter. Cultivate confusion endurance. Keep your mind resting against the subject in a friendly but persistent way is what psychologists refer to as tolerance for ambiguity. If they define three dimensions of ambiguity. Number one, novelty, complexity, and perceived insolubility. In other words, if it's new, complicated, and you don't have any idea how to solve it, you experience ambiguity. So the creative process can help you clear up those cobwebs and get to a place of excellence in the way that you are perceiving all of this. Make friends with it, in other words, make friends with ambiguity. Cultivate the habit of confusion endurance. Smile in the face of uncertainty. Breathe freely. And when you have a creative challenge, it is an important decision to contemplate. Go for a long walk in nature and avoid taking yourself too seriously. And just keep your mind resting against the subject. The reward will come. 4, record and stream your ideas. So as you take your walk, you can record your stream of consciousness. And another one is make mind maps. Actually, I have a little gadget here called the Plod. So I could record my stream of consciousness, which automatically makes it into a mind map. Stream of consciousness writing is the creative secret of many, many great minds, and so is mind mapping. So there's a lot of information online about mind mapping, and is now an integral part of the accelerated learning and creative problem-solving approach at many schools, universities, and corporations worldwide. So I am not making any affiliate marketing, but this is the Plod. I mean, in other words, I'm not making any money by showing you this. It's the Plod, and you can just attach it to your iPhone. It's magnetic, and it will record. I haven't gotten it really to work as well as I like. I think maybe I need to charge it more. So I'm working with it, but streams, it's a good thing if you wake up in the morning and you have a dream, grab this thing and record it. And it's important to keep your dream life alive. Let's put it that way. That will help with your feeling of connection to your inner soul. That's very, very important. Invoke your muse. That can happen through your dream life, your beautiful dream life. Tune in, not in the sense of Timothy Leary, but tune in to everything that's going to slow down and tune in. Slow down and tune in. I had a gut sense. I felt it in my bones. My blood whispered to me. I know it in my heart of hearts. So work on not only your muse and tune in to your intuition, which is a very integral part of fostering the best days of our lives as we grow old. There's going to be a video that shows up. Take a look. Love to all.